Let's tank Imonar the Soulhunter in Antorus on normal and heroic difficulty. Now this fight is a 3-phase fight with intermission phases which lead you between the two platforms. In the first phase you fight on platform 1, in the second phase on platform 2, and then the final phase you're going to fight on the original platform you was originally on. Now there's not too much on the platforms to worry about, and there seems to be quite a lot of stuff on the ground for the intermission phases, but pretty much when you're doing the intermission phases, all you're going to be doing is dodging everything that's on the ground. And if not, as a tank you're going to be popping stuff, but we'll get more onto that later on. So firstly, let's look at phase 1. Now the main tank mechanic is called Shock Lance, and what this is going to do is fell energy courses through the caster's weapon, causing the target to suffer 4.5 million physical damage and take 10% increased damage for 20 seconds, and this effect stacks. In addition, the target shocks an additional player for 1.5 million nature damage every 3 seconds for each stack, and Electrify shocks another player for 1.5 million nature damage. So for this you want to be going to about 4 stacks and then doing a taunt swap. While you've got the debuff, you're going to be shocking players around you. It's nothing too crazy, just make sure you're swapping on the 4. The next ability you need to be aware of is called Sleep Canister, and what this is going to do is it's going to hurl a sleep canister at a player, causing them to fall into a slumber for 20 seconds. When this effect is removed, it causes an explosion of slumber gas. Now slumber gas is a violent gas that erupts from the canister, putting all of the players within 10 yards to sleep for 8 seconds. So as you'll see in the video, at one point there's someone asleep, we don't notice it, he gets dispelled and puts us all to sleep just before a transitional phase. Now it's important that this doesn't happen and people are aware of this, so that stuff like this doesn't happen, as you could end up putting like all your healers to sleep, and that's obviously going to cause a wipe, your tanks to sleep, or any other kind of crazy bad scenarios. So just be wary where these people are and make sure that they're not just getting instantly dispelled, because this can cause a lot of problems. Now the boss is also going to be throwing pulse grenades on the ground, and you just need to not go near them in like little green circles. If you touch one, it's going to hit you for 2.3 million nature damage, and it's also going to knock you back, but it's also going to give you a debuff called Shocked, and what this is going to do, it's going to increase all nature damage taken by 50% for 20 seconds. Now the tank debuff is also going to be shocky for nature damage, so obviously you're going to take 50% more damage from that, so just don't hit these circles on the ground and just stay away from them. The final ability of this phase is called Infernal Rockets, and all this does is if you try to cross to the second platform too soon, you're going to start taking 1 million fire damage and have fire damage taken increased by 25% for 30 seconds, and this is going to stack. So that basically just stops you crossing too early before he puts anything down, so just don't do that. So now for the intermission phase. The goal of the intermission phase is obviously to cross the bridge between platform 1 and platform 2. However, the boss is going to drop a load of traps on the ground, and each one does slightly different things, but for the most part your goal is to dodge everything and get to the other platform without proccing any of the stuff. Now the best way I personally found to do this was to send one of your tanks first and follow the tank. Now you want to be dodging everything, as I said, as the first trap's called Seared Skin, which is like the red ones, and they're going to do a 1.5 million fire damage every second and increase all damage taken by 75% for a minute, so obviously you don't want to be hitting these. The status trap is going to inflict 1.5 million fire damage and stuns everyone within 3 yards of this for 8 seconds, so again you don't want to be hitting these. And pulse grenades do 2.3 million nature damage and knocks everyone back within 3 yards, which could potentially push you into another trap and cause a knock-on effect. The only trap you really want to be proccing are the blast wires, which are like red lines, and as I said, have your tank go first, because all these do, it's going to inflict 1.2 million fire damage to all players. So if you just have your tank go ahead and decide which ones he wants to proc, then you're not going to have everyone just going off on their own, proccing loads of them at once, causing too much damage to the raid. So just follow one player and decide what route you want to take. Now once you're on the other platform, the boss will be channeling. You don't want to interrupt this channel till everyone's safely across and positioned, but the boss is going to take 99% reduced damage while he's casting, so don't waste cooldowns or anything like that. Now once everyone's safely across, just interrupting, and phase 2 begins. Now the boss does a new tank mechanic which is called Sever, and all this does, it's going to inflict 6.6 million physical damage and causes the target to bleed for 900k physical damage every 2 seconds for 18 seconds, and this effect stacks. All you want to do for this is taunt at 2 stacks. Real simple. The next ability is called Charge Blasts, and what this is going to do, it's going to summon Legion ships to track a player. After 7 seconds, the ship fires in a line, striking all targets for 2.5 million fire damage and burning them for additional 1.1 million fire damage every 3 seconds for 18 seconds. All targets struck are also knocked away from the blast. Now this is kind of hard to see, it's a little aim markers above players' heads, and you just need to be aware of where the ships are around the outside of the room. It's a pretty difficult mechanic to do this one, so I recommend just practicing it a little bit and just seeing where the players go. We told them to go to the outside of the room, and then you just have to be aware of yourself where they're going. Now the final ability of this phase is called Shrapnel Blast, and this is just red swirls on the ground that leave mines behind. Now if you get hit by the initial thing, it's going to do 610k fire damage to you, and then if you hit the mine, it's going to do another 1 million physical damage and cause you to affect anyone within 4 yards to bleed for 690k physical damage every 2 seconds for 30 seconds. So obviously, don't stand in the red swirl and then don't touch the mines. Now the combo here is the ships knocking you back into one of these mines. If that happens, it's pretty much a one-bow combo, one shot, you're dead. So just stay away from them, and if you're going to get knocked back, try not to get knocked back into one of the mines. Now the second intermission phase begins at 35% and lasts until you interrupt the boss on the first platform that you originally came from. We took it nice and slow, making sure to take as minimal damage as possible. Obviously, I believe we one-shot this boss. It wasn't too difficult, to be honest. And we made a few mistakes, as you'll see on the video, but it's not too difficult, and it's very, very friendly to mistakes. So when we get on the last platform, we set up the group, interrupts and lust, and we treat this phase as a burn phase, as all of the phase 1 abilities are back, but now they're empowered. So the tank mechanic no longer falls off, so you still want to do the taunt swap at 3, but after this, that 3 is just going to keep shocking players, and your next tank's going to take 3. And if your phase is going longer than, say, 6 stacks, you're going to have to go to 4 stacks and 5 stacks, so on and so forth. So you want to be aiming for about 7 to 8 stacks by the end of the fight. Any more, and your raid's going to start getting trucked by the empowered electrify. We're then going to have empowered pulse grenades, which are the little green circles on the ground. Just don't stand in them, you should be fine. And finally, we're going to have empowered shrapnel blasts, which are those little green swirls that are going to get shot from the ships around the room. So just don't stand in them and you should be fine. If you do get hit, however, it's going to inflict 2.2 million fire damage, and it's going to cause you to burn for 500k fire damage every 2 seconds until you die. So yeah, definitely don't get hit by this, as you're going to have a real bad time. Anyway guys, this is an average fight. I wouldn't say it's the best. It could be a lot better. Hopefully Mythic shows a lot more out of this fight. It's very forgiving compared to a lot of other fights I've done on Heroic in the past. But yeah, it is a little different, and I kind of like that about it. And that's it for this guide. Please like, comment and subscribe for more videos.